Hello and welcome to Owl's Air Guns. This is the review of the NV400 2-26X50 day-night scope. The scope is capable of recording in 4K from 30 frames a minute to 120 30 frames per second to 120 frames per second. And as I mentioned, it is a day-night scope. The unit that we have been shipped includes the optional laser rangefinder. It's an integrated unit. We use the controls on the scope to activate it, to line up the reticle for it, and we get a readout in distance in our display in the scope. So very cool device. Helps a lot when you're in the night vision mode where it's much harder to judge distance. The scope itself, incredibly easy to operate. We've got a basic scope tube here with an objective, and we do have an adjustable diopter, and I think it's like +2, -6 or something like that. I have astigmatism in one of my eyes, and I found I could adjust it quite easily to where I needed it to be. Immediately in front of that on the side is our on-off switch. Touching it a couple of times, like a short and a long, we'll go ahead and turn the unit on. And the unit, let me see, I think my light might be too bright for us to see it when it's on. Let me get that end cap off there too. The unit also has the ability to, yep, we're coming on now. There we go. The feature keys on the top of the unit are also illuminated when it's on. Now, if you want to turn that off to, prevent the light, I guess you can, but I found it quite easy to use with the illuminated buttons. Looking at the menu, you can see it's incredibly straightforward. Things like shifting mode are easily identified right there. Activating your photos or your recordings are on that one. Touching this button here will actually bring up the rangefinder. So, most of the operation is paired with icons that are easy to understand and really make it pretty easy to use. Now, one thing I don't remember if it was noted or not that I found highly useful when I was using it, if we're starting the scope from off, like any electronic device, it takes a couple of seconds to boot up. Once the scope is on, just touching this button will put it in a standby mode. It goes ahead, turns off the screen, turns off a lot of the active elements, but keeps it booted up such that all that you need to do is touch it again and boom, everything's right there. So that was one of the things I really appreciated about the scope. When you receive the scope in the box, the IR flashlight or IR illuminator is not attached because it does attach to some of the scope rings, which are also not attached. I have an unboxing video if you'd like to see, what it actually comes out of the box like. And the assembly overall is pretty simple, basic skills of mounting a scope and then attaching this here. Now, if you're looking for another good review, OG's Danger Show with Officer Greg has a nice very nice YouTube out on these. And one of the things I saw in his later episodes that I'm probably going to copy on my rifle here, and this is, by the way, an Umarex Complete. And he had moved his IR flashlight off of the top here and mounted it on one of these M-locks. I think I'll probably do that too. As we're getting kind of high here, it's making this rifle a bit top heavy. So that I thought was a really good modification that I learned from him. So I'll probably do that. On that note, the device is very well constructed. We're talking aluminum body, quality components throughout. The Sony chip that they're using to gather the light is very leading edge and high end. Performance is very good. It is not of the, Gen 3 or 4 night vision analog style. But for digital night vision, I found it to be very, very good in terms of what's available today, particularly at anywhere near this price. And the advantage of being a daylight scope that could record makes it much more useful to me. So I liked that aspect of it. Well constructed, well integrated. Everything works quite well, makes sense. I took it out a couple of times, well, 3 times actually, before I read the manual. The manual, by the way, was well written. I benefited from reading it, but as I say, enough of the stuff was intuitive that it was not necessary to study it to make the scope operate. Part of what I think makes the Oneleaf NV400 such a strong value is the support materials they include with it. The scope runs on rechargeable batteries. There are a couple of different batteries in that you can take out and recharge, such as the one in the IR illuminator, and also another one in the main body there. The scope itself includes an internal battery that also recharges, and battery life's good. I've only knocked it down to 80% from the whole time I've had it. And in studying other reviews, I've found the same thing. I think they say an 8-hour battery life. I'm not sure, I'd have to look, but it's the battery life is very good. Also, they give you a lot of the support devices to recharge those batteries. They know you're going to be living with them, so they give you not only alternate cables and a battery charger, but then an alternate tower. And what this tower does, let me go back to our rifle for a moment here. That will actually allow you to change the type of battery you're running in this part. I don't think that is done out of efficiency of one battery type over the other. I think they have installed, the one that works best. I think that is more in support of availability. If you're out somewhere and this thing should fail, that battery should go out on you or something, you have options in terms of what you're able to replace it with. In terms of maintaining the scope, they included a good collection of O-rings to replace the various seals that may wear out. Also included the necessary wrenches to tighten the Allen keys and put things on and off. Have a variety of end caps. This, of course, goes on the end here, but we also have the rubber extensions. I've not used these, and they recommend one over the other for specific instances, but I've played a little bit with the one length, but I haven't, in my use, I really haven't depended on these. This goes to the sunshade on the front of the rifle. Now, we talked about it being a day-night rifle, and normally when you're operating during the day, you're going to have this lens cover closed, and it's permanently mounted on a hinge, opens and closes there. But if you ever find yourself in extremely bright and direct sunlight, they include this little sunshade. I've not had to use it yet. I've taken it on and off, and in my instances, it doesn't really have an effect. The auto gain in here compensates. But as I understand it, in extremely bright light or some bright light conditions, you may want to run this to cut the light coming into that sensor. I think that includes the majority of the accessories that they shipped with it. The IR flashlight does not come installed, as I said, and some other models may not include the laser illuminator. Okay, let's talk about money and cost. Is this a value? From the research I've done and the place that Oneleaf and this model holds in the marketplace, yeah, I think this absolutely is a value. Now, since this is YouTube and prices fluctuate, I'm just going to refer you. I've got a link to the website so you can find most accurate pricing there. Also, they were kind enough to give me a 10% discount for the first week after this publishes. First week or 10 days. I forget. I will put it on the screen here. And after that, it goes to a 5% discount. So if you're interested in buying one of these, there's still time before Christmas. And yeah, I had not thought about one of these for myself, but it's one of those things after you use it, you go, oh man, wow, it opened up a new world for me. And thank you to Oneleaf. Thank you for all of you for sticking with me. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Bye-bye.